Hey, welcome to the Darkside. I think this is chapter 14 or 15. This is my second go at this. Any of you that own dogs know that the minute you get down to do something, they're going to whine at the door to go out. So, here we have our special Christmas edition. Got the tree up. Wife's out shopping. But, of course, due to lockdown, we're not going to have a house full of people this year, which is fine because everybody's staying safe. And also, you might also find that your teams are dead, which is fine because we're all staying safe. We've managed to cop out 2 investigations. We're all taking, with masks and all that noise, and we have 2 for the new year. That, I mean, normally by now we would have had umpteens out for them and umpteens set up. You know what, and I find it tough, when you keep the team invigorated, for sure, because, you've got investigators that join a team because they want to go out and enjoy an investigation and find something. And these are also the same people that leave because they don't find anything, because that's not research. But right now, we're trying to keep ourselves busy. I'm trying to keep the team busy with research projects, which is tough, right? It's tough to keep invigorated by doing research projects. Some people are good at it, and most people aren't. And then I started musing about some of the old things that used to be done, the old methods of divination and ghost hunting. And I thought, well, why not do a couple series on them? And I said to myself, why? Because if anything, it's like, hey, who knows? I might be shocked and surprised, and who knows? I might be able to educate some people that they're silly. In the beginning of all this, we've got to realize that the people that we saw as the forefathers of paranormal investigation, people like Harry Price, used ticker tape machines to get electrical impulses and record recording devices to record voices, so early audio, like Jurgensen did. But really, the means were very basic, very root. And of course, back then it was a lot easier to get people going with mediums and psychics than that they are now. And the way society is now, of course, we're a little more advanced, and we've got more advanced tools for it. And unfortunately, because we have more advanced tools, we also have a whole dereliction of paranormal tools being created for this, and really it's kind of funny because these paranormal tools are often shittier than their accurate counterparts. I might go over some of those a little later, I don't know, but I'm thinking to myself, like, a K2 device or the ghost meter or whatever that bleeps and blops, and you're going to spend $60-70 for, you can get EMF reader, an actual EMF reader, a little more expensive, but definitely more accurate if you're going to get it for what you're going to get it. Often the special cameras that you get out there really have any better merit than just a regular camera. I know when you're using FLIR, unless you're trained how to read FLIR, it's also useless, and you're seeing some teams go into the umpteens of thousands to buy the video camera version of it, not the one that clips onto your phone, but I'm talking about like full kind that fire department uses. And again, you're getting lots of false positives. So what you're creating is this whole department of paranormal investigation based off of false positives, and creating a bunch of believers and really not much. I know that my first real experiment with such toys was this Kinect STS system, until I realized over time, I mean, the reason why I got rid of it, it was a cool device to look at and neat to monitor. 200 investigations, like 201 investigations we used it on, yielded 0 results that were real. I'm seeing all kinds of people out there still losing their shit when they see something hanging in the corner or at the chair level and it's squibbling around it. That is just the algorithm, it's just the program picking up on what could be a body part. I always said, if you put it against a neutral surface and something walked across the screen and you had an accompanying video camera and nothing went across the screen, I would be more inclined to look into that. We sold it though. Glad that we sold it, because it was actually taking too much time to set up and monitor, and extra cameras for this and that, and it was taking our attention away from what seems to work. And really, on a real investigation, there's There's not really a lot, except for a lot of patience, and then review. And then the exception, or you know, of, well, you know, we got nothing, right? You know, unfortunately, a lot of the devices that are out nowadays are made to give you immediate satisfaction. You know, we still have a K2, which, you know, if you're on a solo and it goes to red, it might give you a chance to walk around the room and see what caused it, and or give you a reason to ask a question. There's nothing, no harm in that. Never base a case off of it, and I've seen a lot of people base cases off of K2 readings. Yeah, and the like, right? So like, there's a lot of toys out there that are really, and I'll talk about one when I'm talking about TV shows shortly. So, you know, I did the Connect, you know, I worked on the Connect for a little while there, and I'm going to take that off my list so I don't re-talk about it. You know, and we use these because, you know, we want to get results, right? You know, and really in the end, science or things being tested by having a trend being set, you know, like, it's okay to do these things to see, right? Like, I don't think it's okay to use, you know, a dowsing rod, walk around the house and say you've got a portal there. But, you know, is it possible to go in the house and see if you get the same result with the dowsing rod 30 times and keep that as an observation? Yeah, sure, why not? We do this because we have the need to try. Let's just try and see. I know that I've long written off the SB11 or the SB7 or the Wonder Box or every other shack hack we used to call them. But we have one on our team. Do you remember the team has one? And there's a couple methods that I've been told about that say that it's foolproof. So I'm going to use a couple different ways of using the SB11 and see what comes up with it. I think it's going to show up the same for me personally. I'm going to have the same. I think I'm going to have the same attitude, but maybe my brain will be changed. I started off with what we were doing this year. How about with a trap camera and this little tiny camera I'm using and a Ouija board. Didn't have to do too much with this. My wife made the letters with her Cricut, and we went to the dollar store and got some platform foam and some foot stickers and created the planchette. With the Cricut, you know, I set it out for about 5 days and put it in certain positions, waited for it to move. I put trigger objects on it, rosary, my wedding ring, cat balls that go off, nothing. And then I, you know, as you know, I went over a routine on how one could adjust it. Okay, and I got no results. So, you know, to me, you know, I'm glad I didn't spend more than $4 on it, because some people, like, some of these boards are like $500-600. Let's be real, nothing out of it, right? And I had people mentioning about energy having to happen. Well, the energy should be there if spirit can move something. If spirit can channel through me and move my hands, then spirit should be able to move it, certainly. And I would ask questions. The unfortunate thing is that there, you know, visibly there is a high opportunity for somebody at the table who's holding the planchette to push it, either consciously or non-consciously. You know, just by the pure tension of your fingers, you know, it's gonna slide. So I kind of set my emotion on Ouija boards. Yeah, I've used them a couple times in the past, and they really didn't do much for me. I know right now I'm currently working with the Pendulum. And I did a little bit of testing with the Pendulum, holding it, right? And then I built a jig that's going to do this in the dowsing rods, and put trap camera on it, ask questions. Over the period of 3 days, I had the trap camera on it, and nothing. Like, it was on a vibration mount as well, so that walking around wouldn't cause anything, and it was nothing. And really, I don't expect there to be anything, really. Let's be real. And also, like, how unclear does that get? You know, I mean, if it's circling around whichever way, what should that mean? There's nothing. You could just draw upon your own results. And I know this is a huge thing that a lot of people use. I know that there's a lot of psychics that use Pendulum. I mean, the ways you could set it off with your own hands, you know, I mean, I could just hold it and just, you know, of course, this littlest of movement, and it's just, you know, through, you know, kinetic energy is going to get more forceful. Oh, you know, just move a little bit, now it's back and forth, you know, I'm going to make it go left now. And this can be done with hip movements. I mean, it can be done with wind. It can be done with like a ton of things. So, you know, unfortunately, I guess really in the end when it came to Pendulum, I looked at it and went, okay, well, it's like the most basic of any kind of test in the way that what answer are you going to get from it? I mean, spinning left, spinning right. So I don't know why you would focus on something that you can't get a discernible result out of. That doesn't make sense to me. You know, I mean, why, you know, it's like going to the doctor and, you know, you get a blood test. I know that, you know, the blood came out of me and you looked at it and they came back to you and said, well, you've got red blood. Right, so there's your answer. You know, where it comes down to it, complete fail, as far as I'm concerned. It did now go back into my wife's jewelry box. I think I bought it for her in Mexico or something like that. She's never worn it. She doesn't care. You know, the next thing I'm going to work on, dowsing rods. Hey, dowsing rods. Now, I played around with these a little bit. I did, admittedly. I walked around and tried these out, and they were crisscrossing, and that's kind of neat. And they were crisscrossing in the same spots, too. But you know what the problem is? I don't know if my hands are doing it. So I drilled some holes in this jig, and you know, that's this is the great thing about well, shit, that didn't work. Well, I'm basically gonna work it like that so it can be held and videotaped. I'm not really sure, you know, I didn't spend any money on it, a couple empty pens and a bent coat hanger. But I want to know why it works, the mechanics of why it does work. Because I know that dowsing rods are used, and you'll have to excuse me, I've got to get the pen off the ground from my dog. He's about to chew it up. This is called reality TV. So you know, I'm gonna go over water sources and all that sort of noise and see the mechanics of what actually does make it work, and then I'm going to use it in the jig, tape it solid so it doesn't fall apart, and see if it'll happen on its own. Through other reasons. Basically looking at the fact is dowsing rods used for anything really other than trying to find water, which is unique. All things being said, I don't think so. Right, and you know, I was going to do an orb video. I was going to recreate orbs and put them on camera. I think I will. I'm not sure. It's going to take a lot of effort for probably no payback. The orb crowd is... Boy, I'm on a part of a lot of Facebook groups, and boy, the orb crowd is absolutely savage. You guys just, you know, have everything. Oh, there's a face in it. Oh, it's different colors. Orbs moving in its own direction on its own volition. Yeah, air currents, dust, convection currents. They can all do the same thing. You know, it all depends. You know, is it moisture? Is it a bug? Is it dust? Is it moving closer to the camera? How fast is the frame rate of the camera? Was the flash being used? Was there any kind of augmentation whatsoever? Is there a light source in the background? Is the heat higher or lower? That'll change the speed of it. Whatever. It's dust. But the orb crowd is absolutely savage when it comes to their just dead on belief of it. So I was going to do a video on it and just create a whole bunch. And a bunch of other people have done it too, but somebody's asked me to do it. But I want to give you a thought on this one here, right? Because like I would say as an investigator, and look, when I started investigating, orbs were cool to me too. The first time I turned on night vision, it was like, holy shit, it was my barn that we started doing first. Is as haunted as hell. There must be 300 spirits in here. It was just shock, right? You know, and then about 3 investigations in, you realize, okay. And then we started creating the videos ourselves. So one would say, you know, 99.9% of the time an orb is dust. It's completely explainable. If you submit me an orb, I never use it for anything other than saying it's just an orb. But people still believe in that 0.1%. Now I'm going to ask you, like, we got this whole big COVID vaccine thing going on right now, right? You know? So if they said to you, you know, come to your local Shoppers Drug Mart or CVS Drugs in the States or Blimey Drugs over in the UK or whatever it's called, you're going to have a vaccine. It's 0.1% effective. Right. So you wouldn't take it. So that's the reason why investigators of any merit don't use them, because if you know, like, it's kind of like when we do EVPs. We might end up at the end of an audio file with 25 hits, and then we debunk a bunch, and then we debunk a bunch, and then we take a look at the video, and like we'll say, okay, these 3 are pretty good. Let's keep the original, but clean it up over here, just so that we can hear it a little better and discern. Oh no, that one, that's something else. Until we're down to 2, and then, you know, you kind of like present the evidence, not as proof, but evidence to the client that you just can't debunk. But why would you do something that 99% of the time you know right off the bat is probably fluff? That makes no sense. Why would you put so much effort into that? The Orb crowd. Wow, man, the Orb crowd, you guys are nuts. You're absolutely savage when it comes to your love of orbs. I've done a lot of paranormal 101s. You know, I teach people what, if they want to learn, and that's just to take my opinion out of it. You know what I mean? They leave with whatever they feel. I always get pictures brought up to me, and people get kind of nasty, and they're like, well, you know, you say this isn't my uncle, and I'm, okay, it's your uncle. Because there's personal feelings involved, and that's one of the things, unfortunately, in paranormal research, you do offend people sometimes. Okay, on to the next of my drivel. It's not going to be that long of a podcast. Been seeing a lot of this online. Paranormal lessons, paranormal licensing, paranormal courses. I teach Paranormal 101s to crowds, okay? And I have a couple videos. This, you could just take away from that what you want, okay? It doesn't make you anything. It doesn't make you an investigator. Investigators be an investigator by experience. My people come to my team as a guest, and then they're a probate, and then a member. You know, you only learn from being there. And even then, I assure you, 25, 26 years into this, I'm still looking at something and going, shit, you know, 10 years ago I would have considered that interesting, and now it's not. It's a continual learning. But when you're taking these courses that say by the end of it, I'm a licensed paranormal investigator, there's no such thing as a licensed paranormal investigator. No. You don't have an investigative license to be a paranormal investigator. I hunt ghosts. We don't even know what ghosts are. We don't even know if anything that we do has any really solid core evidence of ghosts. So how the hell can you be licensed to do it? You could certainly take a course and be like, okay, there's some good ideas. Maybe like a course where it talks about safety during investigation and some of the decent instruments you could use and focus on. You know what I mean? You know, stay away from some of the crap. I don't know. You can't be a licensed I'm not a licensed investigator. You could be an experienced investigator, or a novice investigator, or an enthusiast, but you're not licensed. You're not licensed. You're not licensed to give. You're not licensed to give somebody your opinion and say that this is the word of law. That's why when people say your house is haunted. Look, there's 500 places we've done over the last 15, 16 years, and there's maybe 3 places that I'm like, yeah, well, I can't put it to paper, nor could it be a legal admission, but that place is freaking haunted. But I mean, like, you just can't do that, and you can't do it because you're licensed, okay? So don't get fooled and pay $250 for a course that you're paranormal licensed. Last part of the rant. Oh, God, I tried to watch Destination Fear. I thought a new show. That's interesting. Production quality is pretty good. I'll give it that. And I know why. The production quality is really good. And they went to a few places that we went to, so I had to go see those episodes. But it was like, oh my God. Basically, they're just propagating every single thing that you get when you're on the tour. Anyway, it turns out that he's a product of the GAT camp. He's one of Mr. Baggins' proteges. Mr. Baggins may be a great guy, but you know, I watch him on the shows, and now they're all using Orbs as evidence now. And what's the new toy he got? 2 things that Baggins is doing nowadays. Again, besides he seems to have gotten off his museum kick, but the RT or the SART EVP direct ghost box. It's $500. It's like another ghost box, but it's better. Speaker built right in, and it's $500. So they use their Ovilus, they use their ghost box, and now they're also into Polaroids now. So we're going back to old school. Oh yeah, we'll do old school. Okay, I like the old school cameras, using old school cameras in film. I do. I like changing up the speeds and seeing what comes out of them. But like Polaroid, holy cripes, it's $20 for a pack of 10 film. Guys, you're just making it more expensive for everybody, and now everybody's got to go out and buy the damn Polaroid cameras again, which back in the 70s and 80s, you know, were, I don't know, $50, $40, and now they're like $250. I want to go and do an analog routine, like with cassette tapes. I've got a bunch of blank cassettes I want to use. So I said to my wife for Christmas, I said, I want just like, you know, the old desktop cassette recorder with a condenser mic built right in. Just, you know, they're like $100. $100 for something that's been antiquated for 30, 40 years. Good Lord, Ben. So, anyway, so I've seen some of his product as of recent, and what he's coming out with. And I guess we're going to have a whole new ream of people that are now going to be rounded into the bigger and louder toys. I wonder if they get kickbacks. Maybe if I started to promote stuff like that, I could get a kickback. Be safe. Don't touch people. Don't do anything. Don't even get out of bed. Okay? Merry Christmas.